So this, a lot of the traditional power yogas, they all start standing. Okay. So take a moment. We won't be here too long. This is a movement-based practice. There will be moments throughout class where we slow down, meditate. Okay. But for a brief moment here, close your eyes, start to connect to the sensations of your body. Ground down through the feet, lift up through the crown. Start to connect to your breath. Now, there are many different sequences of the Kriya Yoga. They get very challenging. I kind of mix some of the modern fitness principles within these methods just to kind of get the best of both worlds. I love the modern exercise science and the ancient forms of yoga. And they're very similar, okay? Nice big inhale, guys. Big exhale. So when you think of a Kriya, if you know Kundalini Yoga, it's a repetitive movement, not as big as some of the vinyasas. Arms go down by side. My all-time favorite start to Kriya Yoga is the squat Kriya. You might want to widen your feet or slightly turn your feet out, but not too wide. As I inhale, as I exhale, I reach down, forward, inhale, up and back, okay? Exhale, inhale. It's called squat Kriya. Now, granted, there is about, 8 to 10 forms of the squat Kriya, but this is one of my favorites here. Just notice I'm not really bending too deep here. It's a big breath and movement. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. What you want to look out for a little bit more in the exercise science way is you don't want to stay in flexion. So you can see how my hips stay flexed and my anterior tilt remains. Watch the hips go forward more, okay? It's almost like I'm going to like a chair and then I'm standing back bend, or almost like a child pose, yoga squat, to a standing cobra, all right? So it's a big squat Kriya. And depending on how you feel is how fast you go and how deep you go. Fast isn't wrong. The actual Kriya yogis go very fast. If you've ever done Kundalini Yoga, they move very fast. Fast moves energy, stimulates, wakes the body up, okay? You can go reverse. So ideally, we're going about a minute to 2 in this first Kriya. And you're using that breath, you're using that movement to really energize, flush, move that blood, right? Like lubricate the joints. The idea is a lot of full body movement, okay? And I don't mind if you switch it up. I'll give a little less options today. You guys know I like to give a ton of options most of the time. Just gonna switch that up a little bit, give you a little bit more solid direction, okay? Next Kriya here. This is a pretty strong start, so be easy if it's too much. We're gonna start with our feet together. It's a subtle movement now. Intertwine your fingers, please. Turn your palms up to the sky. You'll notice I mix these Kriya in throughout other classes. Big inhale, and it's an exhale over to the right subtly. Okay, inhales back to center. Try to relax your traps a little bit, even though your arms are up. Exhale, inhale, exhale. And you're going side to side. Now, some of the stronger variations of the Kriya are the double exhale. And some of the easier are feet like this, and you're just kind of side to side. The easiest is where we go like this. They go like this really fast, okay? So either way, we're starting to wake up our side bodies, our underarms, our lateral hips. My teacher always, 20 per side is how we used to start in this one. And it was very common in a lot of the Kriya standing series that this was always our second exercise, okay? So I am, that's more of a traditional thing, a little early maybe if you're looking at exercise science, okay? Now, please take your time. This next one isn't really a Kriya traditionally, but I'm gonna add it. Feet wide now. So they were just together ideally, and now they're actually wider. So we had our feet about hips width distance together. And now it's this lateral tilt, okay? But I'm gonna go right into the further part. Big circle. I want you to think like you're almost dancing, okay? Now just notice my knees. Remember we've done stuff like this with the block. It's kind of like that. The knees are starting to really go in all spaces here, okay? Where before the knees were going a little bit more forward and back, and then the knees weren't moving. Here's where I start to really get more complex in my movements, all right? If it was a gentle class, we might do it like this, right? If it was a super power class, we might go like this. And they're all basically similar, okay? But otherwise, it's still pretty early. It goes to move the body a lot, the full body, okay? Your legs are always working with your core in life. And that's how we want to kind of, in a sense, teach the body to work better. Last few guys, make sure you go both directions. Some of you are getting real creative, but I love to see that. You're showing me you're just having fun in the practice. Try to have fun in your practice. You know, like it's fun. Half of it's work. Half of it you make it feel really good. Half of it you torture yourself a little bit. All right. Get up to the top of your mat. We go back to our front and back movements. Inhale, right foot goes back, arms go up. Stretch your chest up away from your back heel, but don't overarch your back, okay? Exhale, stand back up, squeeze your body here. So in the traditional Kriya, we engage all muscles. Tadasana, okay? Inhale, right leg back. Stretch. So you notice I kind of started a little bit slower, okay? Engage all muscles. Inhale, stretch and lengthen. Exhale, engage and tighten, okay? So there's a some in particular there at the top. As I step back, I'm stretching. As I stand up, I'm engaging, like my full body engages, okay? A little bit extra if you want it. You could tap that back knee more down. Basically adding more range of motion, just like the squat could be shallow, it could also go deep, okay? It's not better to go deeper, just to be clear. But I know a lot of people like to push their practice. I do some days. Today would be not a day where I'll probably push it, at least right now. So you know your high lunges, your Anjanasanas. Here's doing it in a repetitive form. We only had a couple more standing ones left, and then we're going to take it back down to the ground. Now I want you to go slow. Ideally, you know, Kriya Yoga classes are traditionally about 2 hours long, okay? You get time to settle into these Kriyas. You start sweating. You're going some of these Kriyas multiple minutes. But I'm going to break it down into kind of like a short version of that. Now, go slow. That was more like a back bend, right? Now we're going to go to the forward bend, and then it's the twist, second lunge. So feet go hips width distance. Surya Kriya. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, touch the toes. Inhale, strong core and spine up. Exhale, touch the toes. Hands touch the floor. Inhale, hands touch the sky. Exhale, hands touch the floor. Inhale, hands touch the sky. Exhale, crown of the head toward the floor. Inhale, crown of the head to the sky. That's called Surya Kriya. You're very familiar with Sun Salutation. It's a piece of that. It's not Ardha Uttanasana. It's not Ardha Namaskar. That's different. It's up, down, up, down. That is it. If you got back pain, they recommend doing it like this more, okay? Notice I never really go halfway, and notice my spine never rounds, okay? It's a little bit more like halfway Ardha to standing Tadasana, okay? So when in doubt, back pain, you know, you need less movement to start. More stabilizing muscle activation. Up and down, get that blood flowing. Up and down, okay? They do more where you bind your hands like this. Crown to the floor, crown to the sky. And it's once again, those arms are really moving a lot. And the Kriyas will warm you up, guys. Now, our next is our first kind of really strong twist here, guys. So take it easy to start. I'll demo. Inhale. This is called Urdhva Hasta. This is where it starts. As I exhale, left knee lifts, left arm goes back, right arm goes forward. So from the side, I inhale here, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. If it's a little too much, you can kind of keep your hands on your hips and just twist gently to the left. That's kind of the back pain idea. Right knee lifts, twist to the right. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So it is our first big balance variation of movement. Twists tend to be very challenging on the body, so when in doubt, don't over twist. We're not trying to see how deep you can twist. We're trying to wake up the rotation of the body. Okay, you got about, another 30, 45 seconds there. Go ahead. What will really happen, yogis, in Kriya is they'll say the Kriya and then you just go. But I want to I got to explain this stuff to you. We're in a big group setting here, but ideally I would just say standing. It's really standing toe to hand Kriya. You go like this. Okay, that's the real one. I kept it a little easy. We've done stuff like this, kind of similar too, right? The cross to the knee, the elbow. I want you to start being able to see a lot of this stuff so you can design your own practice. When you're doing dynamic warm-ups, dynamic exercise practices, you can just do it on your own, all right? You don't need an instructor. We're gonna make our way down to the ground, yogis, okay? Up to the top of your mat, hands on your hips, big inhale. If you want hands behind your back, go ahead, arms up and over. Here's a little pause in class. If you have any back pain, bend knees, anterior tilt, weight and toes. If you want to go a lot bigger, straighten your legs and round your spine a little bit more, okay? That's a stronger, more challenging variation. Please take your time here, guys. Down dog is next. These are two more postural holds. You're going to plant your hands, trying to keep your head low is the idea, basically maintaining inversion. So even the Kriyas, they do a lot of inversions. Eventually downward dog, first time here. I like to suggest using this posture to get into your calves and your ankles and feet. Shaking your head yes and no. Moving those hips side to side, a moment of exploring. A lot of people ask how I got so strong. I didn't do vinyasa for a year. My first 5 years of yoga, I only did hatha and kriya. I never did one sun salutation my first 5 years of yoga. And I was practicing every 5-6 days a week. I was going to these two studios and I didn't really know vinyasa existed. The big flow. I never did a handstand once my first 5 years. I never did a lot of the stuff we do and never did half moons or triangles, all that stuff. Now go slow, guys. The next Kriya is, you could do Chaturanga, but in the Kriya style, they do it a little bit more like this. Inhale through high plank, hips towards wrists, forward and down, hips hip up and back on the exhale. Inhale, exhale. You could do Chaturanga, that's fine, okay? You could also do knees down, more towards child pose. That's like a knee floss, so if you have trouble squatting deep, this is a really way to start getting into that knee bend more. So there's an easy version. Okay, nice spinal rounding. If you want that Chaturanga, get it in now, please. Okay, a couple more. Kriya, when you're talking about the ancient yoga scriptures, there's this famous one called the Bhagavad Gita, The only type of physical yoga, the practical effort yoga mentioned in that most classic yoga scripture is Kriya. They don't mention Hatha, they don't mention Jnana. They do mention the Jnana and the Karma yoga and the Bhakti yoga, but that fourth path, the physical yoga, the only one mentioned is Kriya. Okay, so you're doing basically the most classic form right now. Back to down dog. Nice simple Kriya here, guys. You can do it on your knees if you want. Inhale, right leg rises, left heel rises. Exhale, feet down, heels down. Inhale, both heels lift, your bottom heel and your top heel. Feet down, heels down. Both heels lift, both heels down. Both heels lift, both heels down. So we know it as three-legged dog, okay? Again, you could drop to the knees. We do this with on the knees with arms reaching forward. We do this with the crunch underneath. There's a lot of ways to do this, yogis. I don't mind to see some creativity, okay? I like to add three-legged dog like this. So we really can start to stimulate our glutes on a more anatomical level. It's called hip extension. We gotta strengthen our butt, yogis. That's key, all right? So that's our butt, okay? Now, I wanna bring it into the side bodies. It's a little bit different. This is classic Kriya now. Let's shift forward to plank. We always hold side plank. We're gonna move in and out. Vashishtha, he's literally called the wandering sage, right? So Vashishtha was always moving from place to place. Heels to the left, right arm out and up, side plank. I want you to practice in a more anatomical level, movement to side plank through high plank. Go slow, left arm out and up. Side plank to side plank. A lot of times you see people doing stuff like this. It's kind of like that, but except you take that arm down and put it down, right? And then you go to the second side. You could even add like a little extra if you wanted, but instead of holding side plank always, you see this in classes. People are good once they get in side plank, but from high plank to side plank, there's a lot of lack of stabilization. There's a lot of kind of, they're unstable. I want you to practice, in a sense, stabilizing your entrance and exits to forms in Kriya Yoga. So it's side plank to side plank. Don't forget you can do it on your forearm, even on your knees. In the gentle Kriya, they just do it like this, yogis, in gentle Kriya. See, it's a back fly. And then left hand, left knee down, left foot out. So that's the gentle lateral Kriya. It's a really good one, guys. So don't feel like you have to take the big one if you're not feeling up to it today. All right, you guys ready to go big? You can see we're still on the arms. We are going to come back to the legs in a moment. I'd like you to watch me just for a start. A lot of people like to start up to the front of the mat here, or you can start, it's low plank to jump forward. If you'll watch me, not easy, here we go. Power yoga. As I hop back, I chaturanga. This is the oldest form of this, if you'll watch me. Low plank, yogi squat. Low plank, yogi squat. Yogi plank, yogi squat. That's what it looks like. I'm not going to full yoga squat there, okay? I got kind of staying on my toes. Now, if you can't do this, maybe you do something like this instead. We do this as well, okay? It's like a single leg variation. I'm basically holding plank, and I'm bringing knee to triceps, okay? If it's easy, again, you could try it straight arm, but be careful jumping back with straight arms, okay? You see this a lot in yoga. People are jumping back with the straight arm lock. Where does that weight pressure go back? The lower back dips. I don't want to see that. I want to see your arms bending at least a little as you're jumping back. Full Kriya. The full Kriya is actually crow. I'm just feeling tired today, so if you want to hop, it's crow. You know, your feet don't touch down in the front. You hop to crow, you hop to low plank. It's actually straight arm crane. Your arms are straight at the top, your knees are hugged up in your armpits. It's an advanced Kriya. It's crow to chaturanga, crow to chaturanga, okay? Let's bring it to the legs. Down dog, please. Right foot steps forward. Rise up. Take a moment here. Just find your lunge. We did some lunging step backs before, but now I want you to really just take the lunge in the legs and hold. If you're going to try it, easiest version, hands on the hips. Nice deep bend in the knee. I hinge forward. Exhale, I come up. This is called humble warrior usually, okay? If not, hands behind the back. Let's go for it. Roll the shoulders back. Inhale down, exhale up. You could reach your arms up. We did this earlier, but now legs are a little bit more asymmetrical. Now the legs take your weight. The arms just went crazy. Down dog, leg up and backs, side planks, crows and chaturangas. Take the weight off your arms, move the core a little bit more freely, and stabilize the legs a little bit more. Last few, yogis. So we're back in the upright forms, okay? Now it's just pretty classic here. We don't really do anything fancy. We just switch sides. So left foot forward, right foot back. Opposite pinky bind. Most of you look like you're doing this bind, okay? Just don't let your feet get too far forward. As I go forward, don't let the knees really shift. Just stabilize the legs. The legs aren't really moving here, yogis. It's more of the spine. It's really just more of like an actual hip hinge, but it looks like your spine. Your spine is moving the space. But it's more like the back leg extends more, the front leg flexes more. Go ahead, it's called humble warrior, one of the most symbolic forms in yoga. You know, in yoga, they're always talking about, you know, everyone thinks yoga is about being just, you know, ahimsa, it's like nonviolence, and then it's truthfulness, right? The satya, these yamas, these virtuous practices. But it's very clear what Shiva said. He said, being nice is not enough for the Dharma. Dharma comes from the same root as the word karma. Karma means the lawful relationship amongst all things. Dharma means your purpose or your duty. And being nice is not enough for the Dharma. You could be nice and you still keep being reborn again. Your karmic debt is still high, they call it. You also have to be like courageous and brave, the warrior, a nice warrior. So there's times to be really strong and, you know, protect and defend and do righteous action. But, you know, compassion is not enough. All right, guys, there's your Dharma lesson for today. Get out of there, step open wide. Next Kriya, we go lateral, okay? I'm just gonna have you hold lunges. We did some good legs already. I wanna have you hold the legs. There's so many Kriyas. That's why I love this practice. There's so much variety. You guys know this one. It's very common. I want to think big lateral movements now. Our first lateral movement here, and then side plank was more like twisting into lateral. It looks like this, guys. Okay, I'm going to bend that front knee. Now, just to be clear, we could do this in triangle too, right? You're going to slowly hinge. Now, they call this bent knee triangle. I don't put my hand down. I tap the finger. Okay, bent knee triangle, reverse warrior. Control the movement, bent knee triangle, reverse warrior. Bent knee triangle, reverse warrior. Again, the legs don't really move. They will give a little. We don't want to be too rigid. And I'm choosing to do it that way so you have a part of your body you have to like really discipline on a subtle level because the upper body is moving so much. So it takes more focus and intention. My lower body is stable and static. My upper body is stable and dynamic. They're doing a lot of that now in the modern fitness, right? Where parts of your body are in a sense of very different intention. So it's like more complex for the brain to think about. It's not just a little exercise where you just go into mindless autopilot. You got to really think a lot, okay? Upright, guys. Toes in, left toes out. This is our warrior two. It's only one round today, guys, so make it a good one, please. Boom, okay? We just hinged forward, now we hinge laterally, okay? You know, vinyasa, they'll always bring you to side angle. I'm doing bent knee triangle, which means I don't put that hand down or that elbow down. It's all strength because we're moving in and out, okay? They do the version, remember this? If you want to go a little bit more, okay? I'm not going to make you do this one too long. It's very difficult and strenuous. Yogis, we're already about a half an hour in, so we don't have that much time left. So work hard here. Okay, we're going to be at the end very shortly. So to close out our standing lateral body, I want you to stand up and bring your feet closer together, ideally together. This is, you'll notice we did standing toe bind here, right? We're going to do warrior three as our final standing exercise, but this is a little bit different way of doing the what's called Trivikramasana, standing open hip toe bind. My arms go wide, okay, palms face down. Watch me here. As I abduct, my left leg goes out, I turn my left toes out, and I tap the hand to the foot. Now, again, you could just do bent knee, but the goal is to slowly turn your hip out and bring the knee up, okay? We've also done stuff like this. This is a way I'll have you do this Kriya a little bit earlier in practice. But you know what the yogis say? Your upper body doesn't move. You know how we were just moving our upper body and the legs were static? Now it's the opposite. Look. Upper body attempts not to tilt. The arms are like a level. You can bring your hands a little higher if you're good at it, but don't sacrifice the core integrity and the posture in a sense. I don't want to see this. I'm upright. See how the leg goes straight out to the side? You're tapping the foot. The different way of doing a posture, we always hold, okay? Go ahead, enjoy it, guys. They do this crazy Kriya where it's bird of paradise to bird of paradise. I can't really do it. I've tried it many times, but I've kind of given up like a lot of the hyper range work, a lot of the exercise physiology. We don't want to force too much on our joints, yogis. A lot of the exercise science says basically at the age of 45 is a good average number to stop forcing range of motion. All right, our bodies start to change, okay? So you gotta, listen to your body if it feels good. I'm not here to tell you exactly what to do, but I'll give you some information and ideas on both sides. It's good to push it in ways and it's good to be easy in ways. All right, so there's that. And now our final lateral movement takes care of our three planes in the standing one leg. I want you to stand up here, yogis. I'm going to face to the side so you can see me. It's quite simple. This is a Kriya I teach all the time, okay? Really, eventually, it's standing splits to standing single leg back bend, but it starts, 1 foot hovers, warrior three, knee up into chest. This is like one of the Kriyas I teach the most because it really merges modern exercise science and yoga. Now, eventually you go to like toppling tree or standing split. And like I said, eventually you would stand up, full range training, kick your left leg forward, even lean your body back a little bit. So it's kind of like the opposite. I lean the weight into my toes, lift that leg up high and back. In a sense, it's our fullest range training. What you're seeing now, in the last couple exercises, we disciplined our legs first. We moved here. And then we disciplined here, and we moved here. Now, in a sense, they're put together. Both are moving, okay? So we're here, and then we're here. Take it slow, yogis. It's a moving balance. We will not hold balance really today. Be easy. It's a really big hamstring stimulator. You know, we already did a couple big warm-ups for this, guys. You know, the leg lifts in particular, in down dog. It's basically very similar. And again, a lot of times in Kriya, they try to get you to go a little bit faster. It's not easy, right? You're gonna have to really get your intention set about staying on one foot. Let's start our second side for time's sake here, guys. A lot of you who are new to this stuff, I just want to give you a smaller dose, okay? Do you hear the breath? Those of you familiar with Kundalini Yoga, we're always doing the Kapalabhati, the Bhastrika, breath of fire, the skull cleansing. Just to make sure we know the difference, Kapalabhati is exhale. Bhastrika is inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale, okay? Traditionally, Bhastrika and Kapalabhati are out the nose, but anytime nasal is congested, we do it in and out the mouth. A little bit more beginner to go in and out the mouth, okay? Last few, second side. Basically, warrior 3 to standing knee into chest. We've already basically done both of those postures, putting it together. When I exercise, I tend to warm up my body well. Like I'll go to like Bay Club or Equinox. I teach for both of those places. I like to do some light cardio. So I'll do stairs. That's my favorite. Or walk. I like to walk backwards on the incline. It's my favorite. Backwards walking. If you don't do it, you should start doing it daily. Like seriously, if you walk backwards, it's so good for the brain. It's so good for the body. I like to walk incline max backwards. And then I'll do like this, like dynamic Kriya. And then sometimes I'll do some weights. So there's 2 levels of my warm up. One is more just like a simple range to build heat. And then it's big ranges, complex movements. 2 layers of that warm up, okay? Get out of there. Second, final standing Kriya. This is like a classic exercise thing. My arms start here. Okay, right hand toward left toe, inhale, left hand toward right toe, inhale. My arms are a little bit up here, yogis, pec minor, okay, we already did here. So I want a little higher, exhale, inhale. Now, if this is too much, you could do something like this, look, knee. That's how I teach it in gentle. Remember we've done stuff like this in the Kriyas? Don't be shy. We've done stuff like this. If you want to do a different twist in Kriya, you're more than welcome, but I do want one bent over twist. We didn't do that. Our closest thing was the side plank movement. Get into that, yogis. That is one where we start to move pretty fast, but it is challenging to the body. If you joined a little late, 2 weeks ago, we did Hatha Asana. We held postures strict. We did not move and flow at all. Last week, we did Vinyasa, sequencing of a lot of postures in a row. Moving, transitioning, breathing. This week, it's Kriya. Next week, we're gonna do some weird yoga, awkward yoga. We're gonna try a lot of new things next week. So sleep well next Friday, because we're gonna do some things that they tell you not to do in yoga. We're gonna do a lot of things that are weird on the body, okay? We gotta explore those boundaries. Gotta set boundaries, but then break them some days. Get out of there, step to the front of your mat, down to the ground, however you'd like to get there. Inhale, arms high, exhale, take it down. Inhale, half lift. If you wanted one last vinyasa, feel free. We'll meet tabletop, quick cat-cow, one of the all-time most popular kriyas, right? It's not a yoga pose, it's not a vinyasa, it is a meditative, surrenderous movement in a more subtle space, okay? If you're wondering, what is a kriya? Cat-cow is the most kind of practical look at one that you're all very familiar with. Cat-cow is one of my favorite exercises of all time. Do it regularly. I always talk about not unintentionally rounding or arching your back. Here, it's full intention of arching and rounding, okay? We do that a lot in yoga, and there's a lot of benefit to be had there in creating movement in the spinal column. All right, guys, so I will bring one inversion in since it's power yoga. If you're a little tired, legs up the wall, okay? If you feel you want to go bigger, plow, shoulder stand. If you're feeling like a power, headstand, handstand, hops are at the wall, or forearm stand. Okay, forearm stand, down to the forearms, one power inversion, 2 minutes. Right leg go high. If you're trying it, here we go, little hop. Both legs up, breathe. Don't forget, it is suggested to start at the wall. You can kind of face your back to the wall in your dog or dolphin. Without putting a hole in the wall, you hop up and you hold on that wall. Now, what I want to see is not letting your back arch. I want you to pull those ribs in and start stacking joints better. What they call is hugging the line, the midline. So bringing everything to stack and posture. So in a sense, handstand is very stacked and linear. We're not arching, we're not rounding, we're not bending. We're very stacked. Headstanders, hold a little longer. Work on getting off that wall if you can. Easiest, just put your butt up against the wall, throw those legs up. A lot of days. I did legs up the wall yesterday. About 3 days ago, I rolled my ankle. I have new shoes, of course, right? Brand new shoes, probably second time wearing them. I was going downstairs fast. Stairs are my favorite cardio exercise, one of them. I rolled my ankle, right? So what I do? I did cold therapy on it. I put my legs up for about a half an hour and I compressed them. So I did ankle compression, cold therapy, and I elevated them. Right to therapeutics, yogis, all right? So here we're getting those legs up the wall. You're breathing. You got 1 more minute. This is all we got time for this morning. Nice, Jeannie. Hey, Jeannie, you're in the grass. Nice, Ryan. Nice, Jamie. Nice, Teresa. There it is, Jackie. Straighten those arms. Squeeze that butt. You get, nice, Kev. A lot of people, you get that question. In inversions, we're learning to activate muscles first. A lot of you see me doing really long holds. When I go to headstand hold, the maximum, do I engage my butt and point my toes the entire time? No. But when I'm working to become more efficient and teach my body to stack and be aware in an inversion, you want to learn to activate your body first. But then, yeah, you relax. When you go for max holds, when we used to be in the Shivananda classes and we're all holding shoulder stand for a half an hour, you have to relax. You can't engage the whole time. Same with headstand in the Dharma and the headstand competitions. You have to relax. But first, activate, butt, engage thighs, point toes, pull ribs in. All those things you're learning in these other forms of yoga, you apply into inversions. I gotta keep going, guys, because we're at the end. Go slow. Headstanders especially, take a moment to relax your neck. All right? We're here at the end of practice, guys. We're gonna go right till 8:50. And I'm gonna ask you to do Shavasana on your own today. Okay? Boat pose. This is like the final two Kriyas. We go here. Okay? This is classic Kriya. You see it in Vinyasa all the time. It comes from Kriya. The Kriyas, they'll say you do this for 6 to 12 minutes. All right? It's crazy. So the more advanced Kriya is this. Remember how we were saying touch the floor, touch the sky? It's that same exact movement actually, except it's frontline tension, which means the weight is tense through your front. Here, it's actually my back body that takes the weight as I go forward. The strength is actually in my back. Same movement, opposite body tension. You see this all the time in yoga. When you really understand a lot of the biomechanics decent, you see that the yogis must have been anatomists, right? Because there's so much just functional approach towards a lot of the yoga. Now, a lot of the stuff has been, mistranslated these days, but when you look at the ancient yoga relating to modern exercise physiology, it's really spot on. All right, guys, last exercise here. That's for your front tension. You could go wheel kriya. There's a bow kriya. You literally push up and down and wheel push-ups. I would say bridge or this. That is the hip thrust. It's called upward table. In yoga, this is called tabletop. It's not the other one. It's this one, okay? And this is another one where we go a really long time in yoga. So the yogis will, in Kriya Yoga, they'll turn on the mantra and they'll say bridge Kriya, and you literally go into a meditation like this. The Kriya yogis always call it a dynamic meditation. When you think of the classic meditation, people sitting there in a cave with their eyes closed, being still, chanting or something, breathing. But this is a little bit more what they call like a dynamic meditation. And some people say running is too, right? You can induce mind states and presence and thought processes that you can't really attain normally. It'll change how we're kind of perceiving reality and how our mind is reflecting. So go into a meditation, your last Kriya. After this, I'm just going to have you stretch. Now, ideally, we'd have a little bit more time, but I think you got the gist of the practice, and I think we did enough. Nice, Jeannie. Eventually, yeah, so you're doing the head taps. That's called the half Kriya. So eventually your butt, so your chin has to tuck as you go down. Your butt and your shoulders tap together. The full wheel Kriya. I'll give a demo because there's like 2 or 3 that's doing wheel Kriya. All right, so wheel Kriya, yeah, it starts like this. But eventually, butt, shoulders. Butt, shoulders. And I know that seems tough. It's just like everything. Your body is so good at learning to do new things. If you demand anything of this incredible, most magnificent thing in the universe, our bodies, it can learn to do anything, but it's just like anything. It's very awkward and weird at first, okay? And it hurts a little bit in the beginning, right? Like a lot of these things, sometimes the medicine tastes bad. Then your palate adapts and you learn to love the taste of bitter and astringent. So, it starts with a bad taste, and eventually your palate is adapting muscularly. So listen, guys, I do want to take you through a couple stretches. What I'm looking at my clock here, we got about 4.5 minutes until I'm going to suggest personal Shavasana. Let's meet in seated position. I want something for hamstrings and thighs, so let's do this. When you're looking at a few minutes to stretch, 30, 40 seconds. Hands walk forward. Be still now. Yogis, we didn't do much time for subtle meditative practice. Close your eyes, be still now. Meditate and follow on your breath. Big inhale. A different pigeon stretch. Legs go forward. It's a figure 4 but seated. Hands behind. Right ankle atop left knee. Here. I work on lifting my chest up, flexing my right foot. Right knee goes a little away. As my left knee, right foot come toward me, the right knee kind of goes away. So it's a little bit different way to do your figure 4. Upright. Close your eyes, breathe. I often talk about people want to start meditation practice. How can we make it approachable? Most practical. It's 1 minute meditation. That is it. If you do 1 minute really focused breathing practice every day, you have a more consistent meditation practice than 99% of people. All it has to be is 1 minute. The key is consistency. There will be days when you can go 2, 3, 20, half hour, but you start with 1 minute. It's all about repetitive consistency. You start 1 minute breathing practice every day, it will change your life. Meditation, in my opinion, is like the most underutilized wellness thing that's kind of still under the radar. Okay. Second side, please. Yeah, some of you are doing different hip stretches. That's fine. I'm going to teach a twist and then touch the toes, and we're going to be in self-led Shavasana. So second side, figure 4 in a seated position, please. And I always suggest a meditation journal. Just like really quickly jot down things, visions, what was difficult, what happened. And, before you meditate, you quickly read yesterday, or, at the end of the week, you just run over it really quick. Just more energy you can put into anything, and, is going to help develop that kind of process. So these two stretches go together, guys. All right, so that's kind of more the figure 4 outer hip, seated spinal twist. If you want to lay on your back, that's fine. Right ankle outside left knee, right hand behind. Usually it's only about a 20 to 30 second stretch. It's not very long, yogis, okay? Root sit bones down, lift chest from your core, twist, shoulders back and down. So in a nutshell, the Kriya Yoga, right? It reminds me of like the HIIT, high intensity interval. I love that stuff. You're working really hard and a big movement, and then you kind of slow down. You peak your heart rate, you slow down. You move that whole body intensely, you calm it down a little bit. You don't stay up here the whole time, okay? You go up here and you come down, all right? I was trying to bring that idea into the practice. Second side, please. So being a 50-minute class, I want you to start practicing the idea of self-imposed Shavasana. You can't, if you only do Shavasana and the teacher makes you and you're stuck in the yoga room, you got to go further than that, right? You got to start self-imposing it, self-imposed discipline. All right, so you're going to take a 2 minimum, maybe 5 or 10 minute Shavasana, trying to relax your body and be as still as possible. There's no deep breathing in Shavasana. Shavasana is a little different than breath work. I'm trying to deactivate the body. It's kind of like learning is part of it, but unlearning certain things is part of it too. So unlearning the tendency to always fidget and move, okay? So I want you to finish that up. If you want to touch your toes quick or lay on your back. I am going to end class here today, guys. So please do a little Shavasana if you have time. Next week is going to be more of a creative, modern, weird, awkward yoga week. All right. So it will be doable for everyone, but I want to break down the boundaries of what we're supposed to do.